satellite scan. Camera deployed. Link establishing.
I've been playing Battlefield games ever since Battlefield 2. It was 2005, I was 14 years old, and I had a busted-ass PC that would take forever to boot the game up. But oh boy, did I love that game. And now I've played every Battlefield game since. 2142, Battlefield 3, both Bad Company games, as well as the Vietnam expansion, Battlefield 4, Hardline, Battlefield 1. Bloody hell, I even played a bunch of Battlefield Heroes.
Battlefield Heroes.
But in every single game in the series, you'd see the same thing on the spawn screen. The little blue arrow representing one of your teammates just straight up out in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes it'd be an assault player trying to flank alone or steal a vehicle from the spawn, or a support using mortars miles away from the front line sitting on an ammo pack. But let's be real, for the most part it was a recon player sitting on a hill somewhere a few feet away from a respawn beacon. And even if it wasn't a lone player, the sight of small groups wandering away from the objective on their own little escapade was always kind of a frustrating sight. Even more so if you were unfortunate enough to share a squad with these players, those who couldn't find the capture point if the flag was stuck up their arse. Anyway, back to the point I originally wanted to make, and that is during my hours with Battlefield 5, I've noticed that the small pockets of groups wandering the map are much less common, and the lone wolf is almost a thing of the past. The additions that DICE have made to the classic Battlefield formula has paid off in a big way when it comes to how the players in each team work together. Being that lone wolf is not only much less viable, but it's actually a lot less fun now too. No matter what class you play as, if you're alone, you're gonna struggle. Recons will get spotted and counter-sniped by a communicative team if they're sat in the back. Assaults will burn through ammo and health packs through a combination of automatic fire and aggression. Medics aren't able to put down the weight of fire necessary for them to take on multiple opponents, especially at range. Supports lack the mobility to defend themselves from attacks from their flanks and are among the juiciest targets for enemy snipers. Communication and teamwork have always been powerful tools in the Battlefield series. That is a fact that fortifies the backbone of the franchise. But now in Battlefield 5, teamwork is essential, and that's why I love it.
Ich bin bei dir, ja?
The attrition system is something DICE have spoken about a lot during the lead up to Battlefield 5's release, and this is a big reason why it's more important than ever to stick with your team, but it's by no means the only reason. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with the way the attrition system works right now, the upshot is that the solitary soldier is much weaker in Battlefield 5 than they were in previous games. They carry less ammunition and fewer grenades, they're unable to heal to full without using a first aid kit, and most soldiers only carry one life-saving bandage. You can pick up a few rounds of ammo from fallen enemies, but that's not very viable in a sustained firefight, especially since it means leaving any solid cover you may have. All of this lends itself toward a cohesive squad being much more than the sum of its parts. There isn't a moment where you're at a loss of a way to support your team beyond taking down enemies. Assistance to your squad mates breeds a kind of positive feedback loop. The ability to revive your buddies regardless of your class means that you can keep a strong front line and keep pushing the objective. Supports throwing up defenses keeps the squad safe and in a point of strength. Medics throwing around bandages means that other members can be a little more self-sustaining, and even if recons can't hit a broadside of a barn, they can still spot a flank or exact enemy positioning with shots, telescopes or flares. The necessity to work together even influences the way vehicles are treated now. Similarly to real-life military engagements, tanks need to be supported by infantry. Turrets turn far too slowly to effectively engage charging assault troops if they get too close, so having that backup as part of a 4-person fighting group is imperative to keeping engines running. This sense of purpose and the way you're rewarded for sticking with the squad breeds a kind of loyalty, even a camaraderie in some scenarios. Taking a heavily defended conquest flag with your squad at your side makes you want to stick together for as long as you can stay in the same server. I've had moments in a game where I've watched a medic I've just randomly been squadded up with rush through gunfire, popping smokes on the move, just to get me back up and into the fight. After seeing that, you know damn well I made sure they had ammo aplenty, and I'd pick their screaming selves back up as soon as I saw them down on the ground.
Oh dear.
It's fine, I'm fine.
Trying to spawn on you.
Well,
Nice!
Hey.
G. And now I can spawn on you. Woof!
Yeah, okay, I finally died.
No, you haven't.
Cheers, me old mucker.
Battlefield has always been grounded in the idea of teamwork, but it has never had such an emphasis on it, on supporting the soldier at your side, and I think that's the main reason why I love this latest entry so much. Now, I used to have a really close-knit group of friends who would boot up Battlefield 3 nearly every night, but over the years we drifted apart and we didn't game as much. I found myself missing that sense of working together as part of a unit towards the same objective. And while I don't have the same group of pals anymore, I can now get similar experiences with nearly anyone I'm squadding up with. Because to me, the emphasis on teamwork has felt a little lacking in previous Battlefield titles, but now with the changes and additions DICE have made to Battlefield 5, I feel like players get to be part of something bigger with each match. Whether it's a friend or a stranger, I feel like we're working together, and that's exactly what a game of Battlefield should feel like. Like a valuable cog in the 32-player machine that makes up your team. As great as the game looks, as great as it plays, it's been a pleasant surprise to find that it's actually the teamwork on display that stood out as my favourite element about the new title. But I want to know how you found it. Do you feel the difference from Battlefield 1 and 4? And how do you like to play in a squad? Let me know in the comment section below or find me on Twitter @IrregularDave. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, always thank your medic.
Oh, cheers, mugger.